When you come to TGI
Wednesdays.
it's going to be great. Why? It's
Wednesdays.
passion. We're compulsively preoccupied with the notion that we have to guarantee every day, every time, that it's
Wednesdays.
going to be great. Guaranteed.
Hello, everybody. It's Kanuki here. Welcome back to your final TGI Wednesdays. I have some news. I don't know what happened here. I logged into the game, preparing to do my very professional job of recapping your division, and found training grounds A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N. Wait. So basically, Trading Grounds I has disappeared. TGI Wednesday is no longer a thing. So this makes my life a bit harder, but you're still getting a recap. Everything will be fine. I won't panic, and we'll see how things go. So instead of being able to do this easily in client and do all of the fine and fancy recaps, we will just have to go straight to ReBBL and see how that's gonna go. ReBBL. We need to drop that down. There we go. So, Trading Grounds I, week 5. You guys are already obviously in development mode, but we still had some interesting and for some frustrating games this week. Starting out game 1, we had Mirtsmsve with his ramping up elves, also known as Jolidata, losing, I wouldn't say narrowly, quite clearly 0-2 to Ambitank's Underworld, the Rebels official zoo. In the second matchup of the week, we had the Britannians of Sebabear with a narrow loss and quite an interesting ding-dong. I like to say ding-dong. Against Rugbart's Necromantics Necro team there. And finally, we had Wabi's Cthulhu Collector still getting no luck against IKEA, Octo Chicken, and his Norse. So we'll go into some game summaries, see what happened and occurred in each game. And I have to say I've had to scale down the highlight clips segments for this week. It's been hard to choose winners, losers, etc. So I've nailed it down to only one sort of weekly highlight that really illustrates, or at least doesn't illustrate anything. It just made me laugh. And we'll get to that in a bit. But first game summary. First up we have the Ramping Up Elves versus Rebels Official Zoo, Mirtsmsve, Jolidata versus Ambitank. And yeah, we've got that not up right now. We do have it up. There we go. So first, in the first half, it was a bit of a mess, really. Rather scrambly Underworld drive. There were a few turns from about turn 3, 4, 5 onwards where the ball was going back and forth between the Underworld and the Elves. But the Underworld was still able to make pretty good progress and also managed to remove quite a few of the Elves in the process. Yeah, and so the Underworld eventually, the Elves ran out of ability to keep running at the Underworld team and continuing to lose players. And the Underworld were eventually able to quite securely screen off and get a late turn 8 score to go up 1-0. And then we had what I'm calling the glitch in the matrix. Turn 8 and turn 9. So the setup for the final turn of the first half and the setup for the first turn of the second half were very similar. Of course, we're looking at very few elves left on the field at this point, having the solid plan of phase 1 kill elves, phase 3 profit for the underworld. We had the Agi lineman, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, in basically the same position for both drives, and the formations for both teams essentially in the same formation. And then the kick goes to the square closest to the line and closest to the sideline on both turns. Well, basically one square difference for both turns. And on exactly both turns, the same plus Agi lineman fails the GFI. Of course, on the second go round in the start of the ninth, start of the second half, he's able to re-roll that, but then follows that up with a throw to an open player on the line of scrimmage, which fails a catch. And at that point, it's pretty much game over for the poor elves. They've had most of their best players wiped out, and I don't really blame Mersimsve for, discretion being the better part of valor, and he basically does a bit of a soft concede, moves most of his remaining players out of harm's way, and lets the underworld go on and take it to the 2-0. And yeah, we had a few quick end of turns there at the end. So disappointing for the elves, but a good solid win there for the underworld, who managed to keep a very tidy Cas box for themselves, unlike most underworld games, whereas dishing out the damage against the high elves. So moving on, we have our second game of the week, which was the Bretonians of Sebabert versus Necromantics, of course, of Rugbart, the Necro. And right from the start, we had another Brett Blitz. I think we had almost a very similar Brett Blitz in the previous week against Octo Chicken. And just like in the game against Octo Chicken, the Bretts moved rather forcefully down both sidelines. But Bretts aren't the fastest, and I think they left themselves a bit too exposed by overcommitting to those two flanks, and also leaving some very juicy targets for potential werewolf surf blitzes, which did in fact happen. Didn't quite come off, but they were certainly in danger from that point. So other highlights, I would say, failing fouling. We saw a number of failed fouls from both teams, either from GFIs, for example, from Rugbart failing to get the foul in at all, or failing fouls from Sebabert by fouling stun players and getting sent off for just another stun. But we did see some interesting play moving on, which was a very wondrous and wonderful wizard. And the wizard came from the Bretts, whereas after that cage, after that attempted surf, the Necro had been able to reposition off to the top left of the field and had caged up pretty securely with a pass from one of the whites into the one of the werewolves in the middle. But that brought out a fairly good, I would say almost godlike tier fireball from the Bretts, which took down the ball carrier and 3 out of 4 cage corners, leaving only one zombie marking the ball, which was not only quickly blitzed off, but also removed from the game with a Cas and no regen. So that was quite a effective strategy from the Bretts, who were able to regain the ball. But the Bretts were pretty much after that the only ones taking any kind of interest in the ball for the first half. The Necromantics quite happy to basically say to the Brets, keep the ball for as long as you want. I'll just continue murdering your players. And so we had a bit of a suicide stall at that point. So finally the Brets give in and take the ball through on turn 4, leaving the Necromantics, you would think, quite enough turns to counterscore on their own, especially with the dwindling numbers of Brets on the field. But we see Seba, despite having like 5 players left, able to sack the ball on turn 7 and leave a very desperate play for the Necromantics, the Necro, to try to recover and score on turn 8. And we see I will have to set up as the flair of the week, which involved just a great sequence of hilarious failed actions from both sets of players. And so we'll just roll forward with our flair of the week. Yeah, so there you had some pretty hilarious moments, from the wolf dodging through and failing to the Bret interception of the ball recovery, and then the Bret, I don't know if I've ever seen this, failing a throw and then the inaccurate pass scattering back to himself to catch it, which prevents the turnover, which only allows the subsequent number of blocks, finally failing with a self-inflicted casualty from the loner hitting the mighty blue wolf. Just good times all around. And finally this week we had the Wah Beasts of Cthulhu Collector up against Octo Chicken's Norse team, IKEA. And what did we have? Well, we had another bomber dribble snot, but this time, is it bomber dribble snot? Anyway, it's a bomber from the Orcs deployed by Cthulhu Collector, but not quite as good luck as the underworld bomber dribble snot of Amitank was having in previous weeks. The first real chance the bomber has, he's thrown the ball straight to the ball carrier of the Norse, who catches it and tosses it back, knocking down a couple of orcs. And really the story of the game here was quite a few removals for the orcs. The AV7 going down pretty hard, but still only KOs. Really, the orcs a bit hard done by not to get any proper removals Kaz from this game. But the KOs did tend to stay out, and for the most part of the game, it was quite a full team of orcs playing against a very diminished Norse team. Yet the Norse in both halves really managing to keep the ball in control fairly well. It really did go down to the end with the Norse getting the early score in the first half, and then the Orcs pretty much being shut down a couple times. But they did have the one chance finally after a couple of Norse sacks, but then the Norse themselves GFIing to put the ball loose. Some recovery, and then on turn 16 we had the ultimate classic. The Goblin was able to get free, get the ball, hand off in a tackle zone to the thrower. The thrower had the reroll had already been spent, and the thrower had one GFI and a dodge out to make. Dodge out was good, but the GFI, of course, tripwire on the line, and the ball goes down. Really bad luck again for Cthulhu Collector. The luck did change a bit, though. Very good MVPs for both teams, I would say, with Goose, the Black Orc, who's been stuck on 5 SPP for a while, getting his MVP to get him a level, and quite similarly, IKEA with the other Ulf, Poang, who has also been stuck on 5 SPP, getting the MVP there. So I think overall both coaches should be pretty happy, if not with the results, then at least with the MVPs going to some pretty critical players who are hard sometimes to level up. So that's it. I will come back and take a look later at the teams and see how the development has gone over the season. Hello everybody, this is Kanuki here, and we're going to finish up because, well, I messed up. I finished about 3/4 of the recaps yesterday, all the game summaries, and decided this morning, today would be a good day to build my new PC, do a fresh Windows install, clear everything out. I don't have anything critical pending. Yeah, so OBS gone, Resolve gone, Blood Bowl gone, even my Windows activation key gone. So it's been a fun day. So I hope you'll forgive me. This is going to be perhaps a bit abbreviated, but I did want to get a look at the teams after 13 plus games, the full Division 5, training grounds. Most of you had a bit of Green Horde or ramp up to add to your development, and we'll take a look here. Of course, as mentioned yesterday, or no, today. Everything was recorded today. Ignore this wizard behind the curtain. We will have to look at it through the rebel.net site because the Division I got nixed for some reason from the client, so that is fine. We're perfectly fine with that. We'll just go through and hopefully this works out and take a look at how the teams are looking. Actually, we'll just do a quick review of the leaderboard, as if any of you care, really. You're all in it for development. But congratulations to Ambitank, Underworld, taking the title for Trading Grounds I with 12 points, narrowly over Rugbart, and Octo Chicken trailing quite close behind as well. But the 6 TD difference for Ambitank really showing the class of the removal game, the scoring game. He's got it all really on the Underworld there. Very nice. Necro, good development, good set of results. Norse, bits of up and down, 3 wins, 2 losses. And then Seba Bear, Bertram Sve, Choladata trailing, and Cthulhu Collector. Got to have a better season. Nuffle has to start shining on this guy. It's a thing. Orc GFIs, not a great look. All right, let's go look. I mean, all of these teams were fresh just a few months ago, but now look at them. They're fabulous. I just love Penguin having both block and claw. Of course, he's really close with, block and claw is such a good SPP developer to accelerate their development. Once they get that, they can reliably block, even blitz, and remove players, and then accelerate their way to whatever they need next, which is probably going to be guard, let's admit. And then 2 very strong blitzers. At the Agi minus isn't going to be a big minus for Hippopotamus. Really strong. He just needs to tackle next, and then he's got all of the tools as well. Going to be a question what they get next. 2 strong throwers. What is this team lacking? Really nothing. Gobbo development is fine. I mean, they get recycled quite often, liking the 2 heads combos, and quite liking the 2 heads second on the lineman. That's an interesting maneuver. Often they'll get tackle or something else like that. But if you're going to roll some easy mutations, why not 2 heads? Get sneaky with it. All right, let's take a look at the next team. I said let's take a look at the next team, and we'll take a look now at Rugbart's Nucromantics. Again, this is another team with very good solid development, especially considering he's had to recycle one of his werewolves, but straight off getting Mighty Blow next, and he's been able to get some SBP on it in the last couple of games that he's been active. 2 guard whites, lovely to see. 1 blodge already, and block on both of the fleshies. Only 1 SBP away, and then zombies, perfectly what you want to see. 1 with dirty player, and you just get more dirty player, maybe a kick, who knows. The zombies are just there to die, absorb damage, and foul the living ass out of the other team. So I would say, especially with the Saber Promethean, what a great looking wolf. Block, Mighty Blow plus Agi, got the tackle in already. Not sure even what he needs more after his next level up, which isn't going to be far. Maybe Juggernaut, if that's going to be a thing. Sidestep, who knows? World is your oyster. And moving on to Octo Chicken's IKEA. This is a team, I think, built really around the runner, Hulestad, who's been extraordinary, and then the 2 berserkers, Pax and Kivik, have been really strong in their development as well. Pax went out to a bit of a head start, but Kivik really, especially the last few games, catching up. Definitely needed some more development on the Ulfs, but he must have been really happy with the level up there on Poang from the MVP in the last game. So that's 2 MVPs. No other SPP on this Ulf, but getting him at least the block skill that he needed, and he'll be quite a bit more reliable from here on. Yeti is a Yeti. He's got guard, he's got a fair amount of SPP, so he'll be hoping for doubles, of course, to get the block or something in there, but he's still able to do his job even with the skills he has. And of course, what do you need more with linemen except exactly a perfect set of linemen, almost. A couple of dirty players, 1 with both tackle and kick, and then a guard in there, and then the rest of them all start with block. So what else do you want from your linemen? That's perfect the way it is. And moving down to the Britannians of Sebabear. He had a bit of an unfortunate game last game, but took a movement bust on the old Guy d'Aquitaine. Just a groin strain, so that's a miss next game for Francois de Quinel. So he'll be down 2 of his 4 blitzers for the next game, but that won't be until next season. And then the rest of the team, the other blitzer with the plus Agi, that's really handy. Thibaut has been quite a key player for him this season. Some guard, bit low development on the blockers. Mighty Blow, Wrestle, it's not a great synergy, but it can work. And then, yeah, some Dirty Player kick action, or sorry, tackle action on Dull Doug, and the rest of them are pretty blank. But maybe a bit more development on the lower end, on the blocker lineman. But again, I'm going to preface this by saying I don't know why Brits exist. I don't know what levels to take on them. I just don't know why they're a team. And then we have the Ramping Up Elves of Merchant's Bay, also known as Joladada, and he took a serious amount of damage in his last game, being pretty much wiped out by those merciless Underworld players, 2-0. And we see, yeah, the death and destruction here from that game. Well, it was mostly concentrated on the linemen, but it was also some decent players. So he's going to be having to rebuild a bit. Smash collarbone on Moricum Teltathanor. So that'll be a bit of a rebuilding if he wants to keep that team. But he's been able to at least keep the dodge plus agi. His 2 blitzers are looking okay. He needs a bit of development still on the catchers. So not the greatest level of development at this stage, but still he has the core to be able to continue with this team fairly well into the next season. I'd probably be firing that strength busted lineman there, even if it is blodge. Strength 2 is just not a good look. And yeah, I suppose you keep the Mighty Blow lineman. All right. And last team we have of the week. Oh, did this? Well, worked but didn't work just because Cthulhu Collector was also in 5e. I can just jump back. And yeah, this team has been slow to develop. Of course, they had a few less games in Greenhorn and also didn't have quite the results that they would have wanted. But finally starting to come together. 3 of the 4 Black Orcs, Bobs, having now got tackle with Goose. I believe it was Goose getting the MVP in the last game to get that level, and Loon 1 MVP away. He's probably not likely to be getting any scoring or passing in, and without block it's harder and harder to take any random cast eye, but they will happen with strength 4 player. The Blitzer's looking very solid, good mix of tackle, Mighty Blow, and guard. The thrower, Gramlop, who had to be rebooted at some point, still struggling on only 2, but he only really needs block or some other basic skill to be quite useful. Not sure what to do with Wombat. Guard is good, but you'd really like some other skills, especially block on him. And Banana Slug, not sure what he's contributing to the team. He's been useful with the handoff in the previous game, but yeah, his fouling action hasn't been good, and you already have the Dirty Player, so might want to think about the whole makeup of the team, whether you still want to be running with the Troll and Goblin. But I still kind of like the Troll and Goblin combo, really. All right. So congratulations, everybody. It's been a fun season to recap, and I wish you all luck in wherever you end up next season, whether you're continuing with these teams, re-rolling into another fresh div. But yeah, we'll see you around. Enjoy the playoffs. And this has been Kanuki, and enjoy the last of your TGI Wednesdays. Bye, everyone.